back to the channel. Today we're going to unravel some incredibly complex events in Genoa. Rumors are circulating around the Newman family, but what's the truth? In this video, I'll summarize the plot points that will be revealed in the next episode. Stay tuned to see what happens.
Welcome back to our channel for the latest and most exciting updates from the dramatic world of the young and the restless. Today is an exciting day exploring the treacherous waters of Genoa, where dark secrets and conspiracies are about to clash violently. Let's uncover this shocking truth together. How long can Patty keep her deception going? Will Billy and Traci arrive in time to save Jack's life? A sinister and suffocating conspiracy has been unfolding in the darkest shadows of Genoa City, orchestrated by a mastermind whose pristine reputation has blinded everyone to his true, predatory nature. Dr. Lawrence Markham, a highly respected psychiatrist entrusted with the delicate mental health of his patients, has weaponized his medical authority to execute a flawless, lethal agenda. While the Abbott family and the local authorities have been frantically trying to piece together the tragic events surrounding Jack Abbott's brutal stabbing and Diane Jenkins's mysterious disappearance, Markham has been pulling every single string from the safety of his clinic. He is the ultimate wolf in sheep's clothing, a seemingly trustworthy figure who has completely abandoned his Hippocratic oath to protect his own freedom and twisted desires. Markham's dark alliance with the deeply unstable Patty Williams was born out of mutual desperation, but it has quickly evolved into a masterclass in psychological manipulation and attempted murder. The foundational betrayal of this conspiracy lies in how Dr. Markham and Patty Williams meticulously framed an innocent woman to cover their own heinous tracks. After Patty violently stabbed Jack Abbott, leaving him clinging to life, she and Markham realized that their only path to survival was the absolute destruction of Diane Jenkins. They engineered a brilliant, terrifyingly effective narrative, planting fabricated evidence that painted Diane as the ruthless mastermind behind her own kidnapping and the vicious assault on her husband. By manipulating medical records, forging communications, and exploiting Diane's historically complicated reputation, Markham ensured that the Genoa City Police Department, and even Carl Abbott, began to view Diane as a monster. The serious consequences of this deception are apocalyptic for the Abbott family. If the truth remains hidden, Diane will spend the rest of her life in a federal penitentiary. Kyle will be permanently alienated from his mother, and the true culprits will walk free to strike again. However, the flawless facade of Dr. Markham's conspiracy began to show microscopic, yet fatal cracks to those who know the Abbott family best. Billy and Traci Abbott, having been aggressively banished from the Abbott mansion by Patty's manipulative tactics, refused to accept the manufactured narrative being fed to them. The suspicious signs were everywhere, blaringly obvious to anyone not blinded by Markham's clinical authority. Patty's sudden, overly convenient presence, her bizarrely calm demeanor amidst a family tragedy, and the highly irregular protocols being enforced around Jack's medical care all pointed to a massive, coordinated cover-up. Traci, possessing a profound emotional intuition and a fierce protective instinct for her family, felt a deep, chilling unease settling into her bones. She knew that Patty Williams was a harbinger of death, and her sudden proximity to a comatose Jack was a mathematical equation that only equaled murder. In the shadows, away from the prying eyes of the corrupted investigation, Billy and Traci launched their own secret inquiry into the timeline of events. They began to dissect the inconsistencies in Patty's stories and the overly aggressive manner in which Dr. Markham was isolating Diane from the rest of the world. They realized that Markham was not acting as a healer, but as a warden, controlling the flow of information to ensure that his fabricated reality remained unchallenged. The betrayal cut deep. A man sworn to protect life was actively facilitating its destruction. Billy, driven by his own recent emotional turmoil and a desperate need to protect his brother, recognized the terrifying brilliance of Markham's strategy. If Jack were to wake up and remember the truth, the entire conspiracy would instantly implode, sending both Markham and Patty to prison. Therefore, Billy and Traci deduced the most horrifying consequence of all. Jack Abbott was no longer just a patient. He was a loose end the mastermind desperately needed to tie up. Their terrifying realization coincided perfectly with a catastrophic shift in Jack Abbott's medical status. Jack miraculously began to awaken from his coma, his mind fighting through the fog of trauma to grasp the fragmented, blurry memories of the attack. Crucially, those fragmented memories did not point to Diane Jenkins. They pointed directly to the deranged visage of Patty Williams. When Dr. Markham and Patty realized that Jack was regaining consciousness and that his memories were a ticking time bomb, panic set in. The mastermind knew that psychological gaslighting would only work for so long against a man of Jack's formidable intellect. To preserve the conspiracy and ensure Diane took the fall, Markham authorized the ultimate, irreversible solution. Patty was to infiltrate the hospital and administer a lethal and traceable chemical cocktail that would plunge Jack into a permanent, fatal coma, silencing him forever. Driven by her psychotic obsession and empowered by Markham's strategic backing, Patty Williams initiated the final, deadly phase of their shadow conspiracy. Utilizing the chaotic, bustling environment of Genoa City Memorial Hospital as her cover, Patty acquired a nurse's uniform, blending seamlessly into the background of the medical facility. This disguise was the ultimate insult, a perversion of the care and healing that the hospital was supposed to represent. Hidden beneath the surgical mask and the crisp scrubs, Patty carried a syringe filled with a deadly toxin, a weapon provided by the very mastermind who was supposed to be saving lives. She moved through the sterile corridors with the chilling, calculated precision of an apex predator. Her mind solely focused on eliminating the only man who could expose her crimes and destroy her twisted fantasy of a future. Simultaneously, Billy and Traci Abbott arrived at the hospital, their hearts pounding with a terrifying, prophetic dread. Driven by their secret investigation and the overwhelming realization that Jack was in imminent, mortal danger, they bypassed the standard visitor protocols. The atmosphere in the hospital felt unnervingly oppressive to them, every shadow seeming to hide a potential threat. They knew that Patty Williams was a master of disguise and deception, a woman who had repeatedly slipped through the cracks of the justice system to wreak havoc on their family. As they hurried toward the intensive care unit, the silence of the hallway leading to Jack's room felt less like a medical sanctuary and more like a carefully constructed execution chamber. The climax of this terrifying conspiracy unfolded in the dim, sterile light of Jack Abbott's hospital room. Billy and Traci burst through the doors just as the disguised figure of Patty Williams was leaning over their helpless, vulnerable brother. The horrifying reality of Markham's plot manifested right before their eyes. Patty, her eyes wide with a manic, lethal intent, was holding the deadly syringe, the needle hovering mere millimeters from Jack's intravenous line. In that split second, the entire, devastating scope of the betrayal became crystal clear. A seemingly trustworthy medical environment had been breached by a mastermind's pawn, and the patriarch of the Abbott family was seconds away from being murdered in his sleep to protect a web of lies. Without a moment of hesitation, Billy and Traci sprang into action, their familial bond transforming into a fierce, unstoppable physical force. Billy lunged forward, tackling the disguised nurse away from the bed, his momentum carrying them both crashing into the medical equipment. The lethal syringe flew from Patty's hand, clattering harmlessly onto the linoleum floor, a deadly bullet narrowly missing its target. Traci immediately threw herself into the fray, helping Billy pin the thrashing, screaming woman to the ground. The struggle was visceral and desperate, a violent clash between the protective love of the Abbott siblings and the psychotic desperation of a woman cornered by her own heinous crimes. Patty fought with the chaotic strength of the deeply disturbed, but she was ultimately no match for the united, furious front of Billy and Traci. As they successfully subdued the imposter and ripped away the surgical mask, the unmistakable, deranged face of Patty Williams was revealed. It was in this moment that Traci Abbott, a woman who had spent years cultivating peace and understanding, unleashed a righteous, volcanic fury that shook the very walls of the hospital room. Traci channeled the profound, unhealed agony of losing her beloved daughter, calling a tragic death that was inextricably linked to Patty's past reign of terror. Traci confronted Patty with a raw, unfiltered rage, her voice trembling with the weight of a mother's eternal grief. She screamed that Patty had taken enough from their family, that her toxic, murderous obsession would end tonight, and that she would never, ever be allowed to destroy another Abbott. It was a powerful, cathartic explosion of emotion that completely shattered Patty's delusional reality. The immediate threat to Jack's life had been violently neutralized, but the exposure of Patty Williams immediately cast a blinding spotlight on the deeper, more insidious conspiracy. As hospital security and medical staff flooded into the room, responding to the sounds of the struggle, Billy realized a terrifying truth. Patty could not have orchestrated this assassination attempt alone. The acquisition of the lethal drugs, the knowledge of the hospital's security blind spots, and the flawless execution of Diane's framing all pointed to a highly intelligent, deeply embedded mastermind. The seemingly trustworthy Dr. Lawrence Markham was instantly implicated in Billy's mind. The serious consequences of this revelation were staggering if a respected doctor was willing to commit murder to cover his tracks. The entire legal and medical foundation of Genoa City was compromised. As the security guards dragged a screaming, hysterical Patty Williams out of the hospital room, the immediate danger dissipated, leaving behind a profound, lingering trauma. Jack Abbott, still weak and vulnerable, was safe, his life preserved by the unwavering vigilance of his brother and sister. However, the battle was far from over. The Abbott family now knew that they were engaged in a ruthless war against a hidden enemy who wore the mask of a healer. The betrayal by Dr. Markham meant that every piece of evidence against Diane Jenkins was inherently poisoned, a manufactured lie designed to destroy an innocent woman and protect a pair of monsters. Sitting by Jack's bedside in the aftermath of the terrifying ordeal, Billy and Traci Abbott made a solemn, unbreakable vow. They had stared into the abyss of a deadly conspiracy and pulled their brother back from the brink of death. Now they would turn their formidable resources and unyielding determination toward exposing Dr. Lawrence Markham. They would dismantle the mastermind's empire of lies piece by piece, clear Diane's name, and ensure that Patty Williams was locked away in a maximum security facility where she could never threaten their family again. The shadows of Genoa City had birthed a terrifying plot, but the united strength of the Abbott family had brought the truth into the light, setting the stage for a spectacular, devastating reckoning that would change their lives forever.